Hi, my name is Russ Maddin from Traverse City, Michigan, here at the Ahrex USA headquarters at the Bobbin in the Hood event this weekend. It's going to be a great show. Really looking forward to it. And looking forward to bringing a fly to you guys, kind of one that it's been pretty popular for many, many years for me. And we'll tie it for you guys here at home. It's called the Circus Peanut. And we're using a Ahrex TP605. It's a lighter wire hook. And we're doing the rear portion will be a size 1 and the front portion will be a 1/0. So we'll start with this rear going on here. Get a few wraps of thread, and you could use whatever thread you got. This is kind of a guide fly, template fly, been utilized for many, many years. I'm going to start off with some marabou. And any marabou that you guys choose, you can manipulate your color for water conditions or time of year, biomass, all those things come into play. You get several feathers out here, and it's using some custom dyed feathers here. Pull 3 out, let's say. Kind of clean them up a little bit. And this just keeps everything a little bit neater. Maybe not for this particular area that I'm in now, but for your fly. What I like to use is 3 because you don't want to have too few feathers. When you start getting that fly wet, it turns into like a little piece of pancake with nothing, no tail at all. Then it also adds a little buoyancy. What I'm going to try to do is match up these ends here so I kind of have a nice touch of brown here. About 1.5 times your hook. You don't want to make it too long or it'll wrap around on you. Kind of pinch those in there. Get a nice little tail there, and that's 3 fibers. You can do 4 if you want. You can do 2, but remember, if you do too little, it'll turn into a little pancake. We're going to add a little bit of flash here. And you can add any kind of flash that you want. There's a million different kinds. I'm going to go with the copper because I plan on fishing this in the spring. Another really cool thing when you're tying some of these flies at home is come up with a time frame when you're going to go fishing and a species at bare minimum that'll kind of get you halfway there. You can't control what the water is going to do in 6 months or 4 months, but you can at least plan on tying a fly for a specific species, whether it be bass, trout, pike. Put a little copper flash in there. It's going to be a good high water color for me here. And add a little bit of chenille here. We're going to go with like the crawler brown. Always nice, a little trick is if you just get that little stem there, you can tie that in with the pinch and it kind of keeps the mass in the back down. Get a little layer of thread there, and I'm going to go to about halfway. I'm going to do a few wraps. I'm just going to kind of tie it off at that midpoint and kind of get it scooted over. what I'll do here is I'm going to add some rubber legs, and keep in mind for the peanut, you know, you can do as many rubber legs or as little as you want, but you got to cast it at the end of the day. So make sure you don't put too much on there. A lot of times when I'm fishing for the steelheads, I kind of keep the rubber legs off of the back end, and I'll just tie it on the front hook. So you do not have to put legs on both sides. You could do 2, you could do 3, you could do 4. It's really up to you. Or this floss that I'm using now. Just doing 2 of them there. And again, I'm kind of doing a crawler, crayfish, early season flood fly here. And then what you do is you just continue on. And this is going to be a thinner profile peanut, and there's ways you can make them thicker or thinner just by the body material that you choose to use. Since this is a thin material, it's going to be more for me and my style of fishing for what I intend to use this for as more of a crawler. Nice whiting hen here, and we'll throw a collar on it. This is a traditional way that this fly has always been done, is with a collar. And another super easy little trick here for you guys at home is that leaving a little bit of that stem there, that couple of wraps of that fluff. And it's good for any time you're collaring a fly. It actually adds a lot to even a basic soft tackle. If you leave like 1 wrap of it on there, it'll add a little bit of bulk to that fly. It's kind of what I've always done with these. And basically, I'm a wrap. I'll go either way. I'm a counter wrapper, a forward wrapper, and all I'm doing is wrapping the material based on what it's telling you to do. So in this case, I'm going forward because the feather, the way I latched it on there, is telling me that I'm going forward on this one. A few wraps on there of that feather. Wrap it off. Kind of do a whip. That's the rear portion of our fly there. And many debates on when you're tying a 2-section fly here or a multi-hook fly is what do you join the hooks with. I'm a mono guy because I've had many of time where I've kinked a piece of wire and then threw the fly on my dashboard, let it sit there for a few days, grabbed it, and the back hook comes off. So I think it's just a little bit more durable. If you're not in toothy critter area, if you're just fishing trout or bass or something that's not going to bite you off, you can use mono every time and it should be fine for you. It's going to last a little longer. This is just 30-pound, actually it's SA tippet or butt section. But the way I do it is use the mono, and I've never really had a problem with it. And I'll kind of just give it a tug while it's in the vise, and you create that little spot there. All right, so once you get that little locked in there, you're running 30 pound. You'll take a couple of beads, and these are kind of cool beads. They're somewhat unique. It's like the steelhead guys run these a lot, but this is a bloop bead, Kool-Aid they call it. pretty cool. It's kind of a neutral tone. And once you get that on there, you can kind of pull your fly off there, set it down, and you're going to your front hook now. And there's a million ways you can accomplish this task. I just do it this way. It's just easier for me. I've been doing it for 20 years. So I'm going to reattach my thread. I'm going to get a couple of wraps for the kids in the hospital on there. A little bit of a base layer. And what I'll do here is I'm going to tie these are just brass. And I use a lot of different weight systems on this fly. You can do anything from lead to tungsten to brass to bead chains to the swing string with the four eyes on it. There's really a million ways you can weight this particular pattern, and that's what makes it really versatile and a great guide fly. Is that you can modify this pattern throughout the course of a year, throughout the course of water conditions, and many places you can go in the world you can adapt this fly to very easily simply by adding a particular type of weight. In this case, I'm just because I happen to have them, I'm using these brass, and I've been using them a little bit more recently in my neck of the woods here in Michigan. But like I said, any kind of eye you want. You get in the spring flood and you're below a dam and there's 8 extra units running, you could run a tungsten. You have low clear water, you can run a chain. Very easily you can adapt this fly. I think that's probably why so many guides and fly tiers alike really like this fly, is because you can manipulate it very easily. Again, that's just to keep on target here, it's a 1/0 TP 605. The rear portion was a 1. And those beads were actually 6 millimeters, in case I didn't say that. And what you want to do is you want to really make sure that you get that so it's not too far away, so it's not going to wrap up on you. And put some emphasis into this step here, because a lot of times if I'm fishing certain species of fish, this is the hook I'm catching my fish on. You know, especially lake rainbows. They're biting that back end, or some people call them steelhead in my area here. This is actually one of the parts that I put in a little bit more time in, just to make sure that this thing can pull the Queen Mary. You can put glue on here. I got faith without the glue. But again, right here is where you want to put in a few extra wraps for the kids in the hospital, just to make sure that you're completely sound. Because if you do hook a 12-pound lake rainbow, they're going to twist on this rear hook, and you don't want your fly to be destroyed after the first one breaks you off. And you can use any thread you want. I'm using 6/0 because I've always have. You can tie this with whatever you got at home. Again, I'm going to add some of that chenille. In case I didn't mention it, this is that fly fish food. Still water chenille is what this one's called. But literally, any material you can wrap on a hook, you can tie this fly with. And they all it changes dramatically with what material you choose to use, whether it be, you know, any of the polar chenilles, the Estas, the cactus chenille, the super satin chenilles, the new stuff that Senyo came out with, your reactor flash. I mean, guys will make these things in many, many different ways. Again, I'm tying this with purpose. I think that's a real integral part of fly tying in general. And I'm tying this for a crawler in the spring. So I don't want it as thick as some of the other versions I do. I did 2 back there. I'll do 3 in the front. It's kind of a base for this fly, or you can do 3, 4. But it's really just a matter of how you want that fly to behave. And again, whatever you put on here, you're going to have to fish all day. All right, we got that. We're going to save a little bit of space back here behind these eyes. And if you notice, I did put them on the bottom there. And that is kind of basically the way I've always tied these. And it does have a tendency to keel that fly a little better. Take another piece of marabou. Find a good one here. And I just kind of started going back to this step during the COVID, when it was a little trickier to get materials, and this kind of just made it a little better. And I never got away from it, so I kind of been doing it for a long time. So I actually do a collar, and I tie that in butt first, and I'll give it a few wraps of marabou. And a few wraps just to keep that marabou pushed back a little bit, so it's a nice collar there. So you're starting to get your little bit of a crawler or night crawler look to it. Grab another whiting hen feather here. And again, save that little stem there. Adds a lot to the fly at the end. And this way I'm going the opposite, because that's what the feather told me to do. No particular reason. So we got our secondary collar on there, and it does variegate that material pretty nicely with that dyed marabou there. So it actually does give it a little bit of a fish, crawler, something natural in that water. And now what I'm going to do, and there's a million ways you can do this, and there's a million different materials you can use. I'm just going to use what I've been using, because I do want this a little bit thin. Again, it's the same, just reattaching the chenille. And we're going to wrap a couple times behind it and then kind of go through the middle of it. So we're making like a little head on it. You can do a half wrap off there if you want. If you're not 100% happy with the way it looks, you can kind of go back through, tighten it up a little bit. She is. Finished version. Springtime Circus Peanut.